Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Looking good, Jim.
Okay. I can't even see him. I can't see anybody at the moment.
Change your view if you need to, Sue.
Yeah, here we are. Tēnā koutou. Welcome to the, which month are we now? October meeting of the Cambridge Community Board. Do we have any apologies? No? No apologies. Thank you. Disclosure of members' interests. Any? No? Thank you. Any late items? No. Confirmation of the order of the meeting. I think we can just go through. Do we have people here for our forum, Karen, or not?
No, nobody's turned up, so no, it doesn't look like we have anybody here for public forum.
Right, that's fine. Okay, so could we have confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting, please?
Do you want the confirmation of the order of the meeting?
Oh, sorry. Yes,
I'm happy to move that.
Thank you.
Happy to second.
We have a seconder?
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Carried. Okay. Confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting, please. Do we have any? Someone wish to move that?
I'm happy to move that.
Thank you, Jim. Is there anything in that in the minutes that anyone wishes to bring up?
Second, Madam Chair.
Right. No? We're all happy with the minutes then? We're all happy?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Carried. Thank you. Quarterly report. Water Services quarterly report.
Martin Mould is not here as yet.
Oh.
Perhaps we need to move on to the next item.
Perhaps we do. Okay. Inwards correspondence. Appendix 1, the wastewater.
Sorry, Madam Chair, it's the skate parks update from.
Yeah, that's, yeah, it is.
Oh, where did that
2
come
minutes.
from?
Tab 8.
Skate park update. Okay, where are they?
Kia ora.
You got it?
Kia ora, Sue.
Yeah.
It's Brad here. So kia koutou, mariora kia tātou, ko Brad Takaingoa. For those of you who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet, I'm Brad Ward, usually the community facilities team leader, but currently acting up into the manager for community services while Sally acts up herself into the group manager role. For this project, we'll take the report largely as read, but we'll give you a bit of a steer on how it's come to be and where we're planning to go with it. So we've got a bit of a project team for this contract and project, which will be largely driven by our project delivery team, and with assistance from Gina Scott, our community advisor, who will share more tonight with you around what we're doing, and a little bit of support from myself. So during the 2021 to 2031 long-term plan, there's some really clear direction from the community around the skate park renewal and development, not only in Cambridge, but also in Te Awamutu, Kihiki and Parongia. And so that was included after the deliberations by the elected members, with all four being funded, with the objective to have a point of difference in each location is sort of our goal, so we can sort of have a bit of a hub for the skate community, and maybe draw some domestic tourism as well. So the intention is that we'll start with the Te Awamutu site in the construction phase first, just to make an alignment with some other play provision we're providing at that particular site already, with some parkour and some play equipment. And we're hoping to roll that out in...
Hello, we're freezing. Are we freezing here?
You might need to pick it up.
Going well.
Okay.
Contract. Oh,
You there?
Brad, we just lost you, Brad, for a little bit.
oh, good.
So just where you said you were just going to pick it up. Yeah, what do we say?
Can you hear me now? I'll come back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
Okay, sorry about that. The kids must be on the internet at the same time. So yeah, the Te Amiru site will go first, and we're hoping to go live with that in May. And then Cambridge will follow on directly after that, all going well. So hopefully this time next year, we'll be starting construction at Cambridge. As I touched on earlier, we'll be incorporating it into a wider contract of play provision for a decent sized contract. And we're putting out expressions of interest to contract or to the market this week. We've got some very clear criteria for the contractors to meet, so we're going to be aiming for a really high quality contractor that's done skate parks and playground stuff in the past. So some quite savvy stuff. I will hand over to Gina now, as she's going to be leading the community engagement side of it for us. So she'll speak to that part for you.
So kia ora koutou, yeah, ko Gina Takawengoa for those who I haven't met. Yeah, nice to see some faces that I haven't seen, and hopefully next time we might be able to do this in person, hey? So just sort of carrying on from Brad, so we're planning a three-pronged approach with the community engagement. So this is where we'll share our first sort of design, a draft design, I guess, which has been completed by a skate park designer and somebody who's really well respected within our skate community. So the aim there is we come up with a draft, we go back to the community and obviously get their input so that we can just make sure that we're covering everything that that they want and that they need from the facility that we're creating, and also to not just that the skate bowl or itself, but also what surrounds it. So yeah, so that's really imperative that we can provide a space that will be well utilised and obviously value for money sort of moving forward. So yeah, we're gonna we've got some sessions set up as per the report, which I'll talk to shortly. And then the designer will go back and take, you know, the ideas that they get from that first phase and look at the design and see where they can incorporate the feedback. And then we'll go back to the community a second time, show them what that concept looks like, and then to sort of seek any further advice that you know, that they might have, and get more feedback. And then we'll then present, you know, our final concept of and plan, and then hopefully, you know, soon after that we'll get the construction team in there and we'll be rocking and rolling. So pretty exciting for the community to see this going live now. I think it's certainly you know, Te Awamutu, Cambridge and Kiki and Paronga as well. It's been something that they've really been wanting for a long time. So to be involved in the project, yeah, it's pretty exciting. And I guess I'll just talk a little bit around the kaitiaki groups too that we've decided to set up. So the thinking behind that, we're going to set up a group for each skate park. And being the kaitiaki group, we are going to get, you know, a lot of feedback from them, hopefully, but also use their ability to reach the wider skate community, which we potentially won't reach. So as far as getting people to come even to our consultation events, they will be able to share those events and dates and times and stuff across their social media platforms, which, I mean, we don't have access to as a council. So that will be really cool to get that extended reach. But also too, what we want is we want a cross section of our community to be able to feel like they are actually part of the process and to own the skate parks themselves. And typically we believe if we can do that, then that will create sort of, you know, a bit of a guardianship, and they will feel responsible and help, you know, look after it and foster the generations coming through, and also to the facilities themselves. So yeah, really, really excited as a community advisor to be a part of a project like this. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty lucky. So just talking to the report, just in terms of the dates or the scheduling for a couple of these events, we've just changed the Cambridge one to the 22nd of October. It was listed in the report as the 26th. So we're changing that to this 22nd. And that's just so that we can get our designer there, because we think it's really important that he's sort of part of the consultation right from the get-go, to be able to help obviously align that design. So yeah, look, I think that's probably all that I can add, as opposed to, you know, everything else is in the report. But look, feel free, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, hopefully, or Brad will jump in if I can't. Yeah, so anybody got anything for us?
All I can say is just let me know when you're having the meeting with the people in Cambridge, so I could, I might get my son-in-law along. He's actually represented New Zealand overseas in skateboarding, so.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Great connection.
So I might just get him to have a wee look at what's going on.
I
Yeah,
see
that'd be
Jim
good.
and Elise have got some hands up on Zoom there.
Yeah,
You were first, Jim.
Through you, Madam Chair.
yes.
Can just you, Brad referred to playground and skate park. Is there a playground going in there?
Not at the Cambridge site. No.
No.
We're going to be wrapping the skate developments into what we call a play space or play provision sort of contract, which will include playground equipment, parkour, and other play features across the district. So it's not just a specific skate contract, is what we're doing there.
But there will be no other play equipment in Cambridge.
Not at the Cambridge skate park, but there will be playgrounds around Cambridge. Yep.
Through you, Madam Chair,
Yeah.
that's okay. So can I confirm, and this might seem a basic question, we're talking about refurbishing the existing Cambridge skate park with this development, is that correct?
Yeah, that's largely correct. The way that we've engaged a skate designer so far is that the Te Amiru one, he said, shot. We need to replace that pretty much altogether. The Cambridge one, we will look to build on top of and expand it. So it will look quite different once we are finished with it, but we will try to retain the best parts of it.
But it will stay in that site. There's not a second skate park being developed elsewhere.
No, that's correct. It will be the same site. Yeah.
Just how far along in terms of creating the kaitiaki for Cambridge are you, the kaitiaki group?
Sorry, I was actually going to talk to that. So I've just started that within the last couple of days. So my first point of contact was Toby, one of the boys who came and presented actually to the submission to that long-term plan to the councillors. So I've been in touch with Toby and he's really keen to be involved. So what I've actually sort of said to him is if he can come up with, you know, a name or two as well of people that are really involved in the skating world there, but definitely open and looking for more. We're thinking 6. So if anyone has, you know, any ideas about people that we might be able to approach who will be able to give us some good feedback, then yeah, let me know, and more than happy to have some chats with them as well.
And the skate park designer, he's also got some contacts that he knows in the various areas as well. So he's looking to pull them in so they can all, from a skater's point of view, give us a good perspective and feedback.
I guess something that I think we need to be really aware of with this project that we've learned from maybe some recent projects with the council is that the consultation part, actually getting that feedback from the community, is sometimes maybe a little bit harder than it might seem. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts on how you're hoping to get people to show up to this community consultation. Obviously, you've mentioned the kaitiaki and they will hopefully bring some contacts, but have you thought about going to school assemblies and, you know, actually at high school assemblies, or turning up actually at the skate park and setting up a tent there, presenting the design in that way, rather than just this one? As I can see, there's probably just one event, 2 events that people are required to come to currently.
Yeah, so if you just referring back to the report that was submitted, just looking at there where it says Cambridge who, and then to advertise. So we'll be working through the colleges, middle school councillors, community board, sports clubs, local police as well. And then we will be sharing across the school social media newsletters. There'll be a media release, local newspapers. So try emailing potentially, if we can get the sports clubs to do that, like the member email base as well. So just really trying to spread our reach as far and as wide. But again, if there is another way there that you have, feel free to.
I hear what you're saying. I'm just aware that it was like a few weeks. Am I right in saying that the 26th of October is the opportunity for the community to look at the design? Am I understanding that right?
22nd, yeah.
22nd.
22nd of October is the opportunity for the Cambridge community to
the first opportunity.
First opportunity.
Yeah.
So I'm just aware that we're running out of the time and line is short. And when you say there's this opportunity for people to view it, how is that going to be at council? Where's that going to take place?
That's happening on site.
Yeah, the intention is on site, is that we're able to speak to the different spaces.
At the skate park. Yeah. Oh, sorry, my internet's just got dodgy. Great, cool.
Through you, Madam Chair.
In the evening, is that like the best time to reach people?
So we've got 2 dates there. So we've got the 22nd, for, which will be from 4 till 5:30, and then we've also got a Saturday afternoon, which will be from 3:30 till 5.
I can see that. But like, have you had a look at the skate park to see when it is most frequented in terms of time of day? Like, is that based on that information or just the time that suits?
No, that was more around, we were just trying to, I guess, get a cross section, like noting that the 23rd of October is Labour's weekend Saturday, but so potentially there was an opportunity there too to engage with that was also too an opportunity for our designer to be there. So he is of quite limited time availability as well. So we thought it was really important to be able to do that. But absolutely, like we said, this isn't the only one. There will definitely be more opportunity to.
We've looked to make it after school as well, so that those high school kids can get down there and provide the input, because they're a big part of it.
Saturday it could be. I'm just aware of there are peaks and flows in the skate park, and I think we've really got to capture people in this community engagement process. And I know that there are lots of extraneous factors that make that difficult and the windows narrow, but I just think it's worth being really thoughtful about when most people there on a Saturday, what times is that skate park busiest, and making sure that's when council shows up.
We'll take the feedback on board.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Jim, you wish to say something?
Just continuing on from Elise. To get kids down there, you've got to have something to drag them. Yeah, sure, we're getting a nice new skate park, hopefully, but can you throw on a barbecue, give them some drinks, and do a whole lot of Facebook pushing to get people out there? Is there any reason why that can't happen? I think the consultation process and a few of things haven't really been up to scratch around here, and it's sort of all been done with very few people. Is there any way that we can sort of bribe people along a bit more? Why can't we throw a barbecue on?
There's nothing precluding that, limiting that. I'm not sure. I know that I haven't actually seen it myself, sorry, but I know there is a consultation or community plan to go with each of these. Have you? Not sure if you've seen that, Gina, from Oscar. So
no.
we do have a bit of a plan to run some sort of make it a bit of an event sort of thing. I'm not sure of the details, sorry, Jim, but I can definitely pass that through once I've got over it.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
I think that would be a good idea. It's just that there's been some consultation that supposedly happened with a very, very few people because it was not made very well aware of, and there was nothing to draw people to it. We're dealing with teenagers here and young school kids. They're not going to turn up for a meeting because they're going to think it's like a school assembly, and if it was anything like me, we did anything to dodge school assemblies. You need to attract young kids, and whether it be a barbecue, whether it be, I don't know, something else.
Yeah, the presentation during the LTP was largely driven by the high school kids, actually. So we do know we've got a good audience there already, and we hope to leverage off them. So that's where we're sort of looking at them as the kaitaki to be able to, drum up that support for us, but we'll definitely take that feedback on board as well, Jim, to see. As I say, I'm not quite familiar exactly what our plan is yet, but I know there is one. So if it doesn't include a barbecue, then we can definitely look at that option.
I mean, how much does a sausage and bread cost? When you think of it in the great scheme of things, if we're going to spend several $100,000 on a skate park, what's an extra $500 to some sausages and bread to get kids along?
Agree.
Yes.
Might be better with some ice creams and a
exactly.
can.
Yeah, exactly. Give them
We
all
did
a can
that.
of Coke and an ice cream.
Madam Chair, we did that up on the green belt around the polo ground. And we were getting people involved in what was happening there. It was very, very successful. There was a barbecue, but I'm just saying, in this case, it might be some drinks and some ice creams or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I don't have sorry, Madam Chair, but I'm totally with Graham. But I just think we need to attract the kids. The kids aren't going to turn up for a boring meeting.
Otherwise, you will end up with a bunch of parents who are concerned about the current state of the skate park rather than the kids who are actually using it.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, that's good feedback. Thank you.
And I'll just add that, and I, totally take that on board. But the kids or the students that I've spoken to around being involved in this are so excited. Seriously, I think that actually, look, great idea, but I feel like we are going to have a massive amount of kids coming in and having, putting their 10 cents worth into the design.
That's what we want to see.
Absolutely, we want to see
and why not?
that.
And even if sorry, through you, Madam Chair, but even if we do have a huge amount of kids, why can't we just give them an ice cream, or give them a sausage and bread, or give them an ice cream and a sausage and bread,
or an apple maybe?
No, forget the apple. That's too healthy. You might as well. The kids aren't. We need to just. I think we need. It would show that the council really cares. Let's have a party. Let's make fun of it. And
I'm with you, Jim.
Yeah.
Yep, we can make that happen.
Is there a chance, Madam Chair, for us to move a resolution allocating, say, $500 towards this? Because we won't have another chance for a meeting, but it's just an idea that might, might involve.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. And
why does it? Sorry, just first, why does it need to come out of our pocket, Graham? Why can't the council do it?
It's just quicker. Well, yeah, okay. Well, if comms have got, I don't know. I was just trying to help the thing along, Jim.
Yeah,
it wouldn't come out. It would come out of the project budget. It wouldn't come out of the comms budget. It just come out of the project budget. But there's budget there to be used, so we can use that.
That would be good. Yeah, and I think some of the parents of these kids. I know it sounds awful, but there's actually, when I've been down the skate park, there's actually been some parents of younger children who are quite concerned with the way the skate park currently operates, and I think some of them might like to turn up as well. So, yeah.
Through you, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Brad, do you know, has the Tree Trust been in conversation with you guys around these refurbishments? Because I know they were wanting to do some increase in planting at the Cambridge Skate Park.
We haven't been involved in this discussion to date. We've got other projects we're working through with them, which they're working through with us on anyway. So we've got quite a program of work with them.
Yeah, I just remember at a meeting maybe 6 months ago that they were discussing they wanted to get into the skate park and add some planting there. So maybe it's worth bringing that into the conversation as well.
I think that's probably a good idea. I'm sure the Tree Trust would appreciate that.
Sorry, just one. Oh, sorry, Alana.
Oh, that's all right. I was just wondering, is that meeting timing set in stone? I was just wondering whether Labour weekend's the best time to do that. Typically, a lot of people leave town then.
That's true. That is true.
COVID.
If they can.
Yeah, a lot do leave town though at Labour weekend. You're quite right, Alana. We have a dead town at Labour weekend.
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, it was pretty much we're quite tight with time availability with the designer, and we felt like it was key to have him there, as most of us within the project team are not up to speed with the skate around design, etc. So that was the main reason why we chose those dates. And again, you know, we are coming back to the community a second time, and potentially with the COVID situation, the way that we are at the moment, people may not be leaving town as freely as they would. But yeah, definitely take that feedback on board.
Will people be able to give feedback online as well?
And that isn't something that we've discussed to this point, but yeah, look, there's no reason why we couldn't create that opportunity.
To that point, through you, Madam Chair, is there a contingency plan for if we are in lockdown and you can't do this type of community consultation? Do you have a contingency plan for virtual consultation?
We just need to delay it until an opportunity arose that we could get there. It potentially might mean that there's a bit of project slippage in terms of time.
Sure.
But yeah, bearing in mind that we've got other communities we need to engage with as well. It's going to be quite a tight time frame for both engagement and construction. So
I guess my concern is that if we then push because of COVID, which is fine, that's no one can do that. But do we, in community consultation is often the thing that gets thrown out the window because the project needs to start. And I just wonder if it's worth having an alternative if we can't squeeze it in before project construction needs to happen, because obviously there's deadlines you need to meet as well.
No, we simply wouldn't start the construction without having all of our design and communicated to the community. It's going to be imperative that we get that from them.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Brad.
So some good signboards out there.
We will have some signboards out there with the plan, and they'll be able to, the designer will be able to speak to why he's come up with the plan he's got to date. But we 100% expect the community to want some changes to that and some additional features and things. So we'll be working with them through their feedback. Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? Yes, John?
Just to either Brad or Gina, is there going to be any access from the pool through to the skate park?
No, there won't be. Unfortunately, that's part of the pool build. Yeah. No.
Yeah. No. That's fine. Okay. Oh well. Is that nobody has more questions?
Yeah, Madam Chair, the resolution needs altering. We need to take Te Amutu Community Board out and put the Cambridge Community Board.
Right.
Good spot on, Graham.
Okay.
Old councillor, eh?
Wise head.
That's a good spot.
Okay. So who's going to move that?
I'm happy to move it.
I'll second too.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
All those against? No, carried. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Madam Chair,
Thanks, Brad.
Martin
Thanks,
Mould is
Gina.
now here to speak to his quarterly report.
Thank you. Right. Where is he?
Just here. Good evening, Chair and committee members.
Hi. Thanks for coming in.
Hi, Martin. Good to see you.
Oh, yep. So I just take the report as read on the whole and just go through a few key points, and then happy to answer any questions on this or any other matters afterwards. So this report is up till the end of August. And say of particular note is the flood hazard mapping, of which we sent just under 1,000 letters out to properties we identified as potential to be flooded across the district. We're down having, once we sent them out, we then did further surveying on those 1,000 houses, and we're down to less than 100 now that will be confirmed as potential for flooding in a 1 in 100 year event. Due to COVID, we haven't sent those letters out to people yet, that they're pending, but we're trying to hang off until after COVID so we don't give people too much bad news. And there will be a further workshop on that flood hazard mapping at the next service delivery committee meeting. The detailed sub-regional wastewater treatment plant business case is now, it says September in the report, but that's now looking like November before that goes to the governance group. The final report is in its final stages of being edited and pulled together. So that's been a long journey. Currently, 4 of our staff have completed backflow testing, with a further 4 staff due to do the training, which has now been cancelled, but they were due to train this month. And we're doing that backflow testing training because we've got over 1,000 backflow devices in the district we need to test. And it's far more economic for us to do them ourselves than to pay contractors to do them. Obviously, there's ongoing staff engagement as well as council engagement with the DIA and Water New Zealand on the transition programme for the proposed water reform. And all that work's being done on a no regrets basis, whether it goes ahead or not. It's the discussions are on a no regrets basis. And then last financial year, which was the 2021 year, compliance was met for all the water treatment plants for both bacteria and protozoa. But we had one zone that was non-compliant, and that's the Pukerimu zone, where the maximum interval between sample days was not met. So that's a technical non-compliance. There's a maximum period of time between sampling, and our scheduling was out and we missed 1 day. And so that scheme was non-compliant for the year, which is disappointing, but it's one of those things. And for this current reporting period, so for this new year, currently got 2 water treatment plants are non-compliant for bacteria, with all plants compliant for protozoa. And the Pukerimu zone again is non-compliant for July due to 2 positive E. coli samples within the reticulation. And evidence suggests safe water was provided. However, the incident is currently being investigated internally. So it appears to be a contamination of the sample rather than a real issue. Once we get a non-compliance sample taken, we then spend the next 3 days rigorously sampling the reticulation, and there was no examples of any E. coli present. So the investigation is looking at how was that sample contaminated. But again, it will be a technical non-compliance for the zone. Current water demand is tracking as per last year. With again, we're looking at a dry summer. So hopefully, which we'll talk about in a short while, with the new Parallel Road plant coming online, we shouldn't need to go to extreme alert levels for TMO2. But we still will be going to some alert levels. And again, I'll mention those again in a minute. So yeah, so on to that. So for the summer campaign this year for water alert levels, we're looking at changing how we do them. Previously, it was water alert level 1, stop doing this or stop doing that right through the levels. Because we've now got enough infrastructure in place and treatment capacity, we won't meet those trigger levels to trigger them, but we still want people to conserve water. It's the right thing to do. So it will be, we're trying to work out a more targeted education campaign rather than a thou shall not. It will be, you don't need to water your garden every day. It only needs it every 4 days. It will try and be, we're at water alert level 1, and here's the conservation methods you could be using. So we'll try a far more educational campaign on that, which will be challenging, but we'll try. So the next thing to note on section 5.4 is those non-compliances, just highlighted there on that table. The 2 treatment ones that were non-compliant, both of those incidents, we didn't have enough evidence to show that we had enough chlorine contact time. So when we treat the water, the last thing we do is add chlorine, and then we have to have 30 minutes contact time before it leaves the treatment plant. And on 2 cases, our instruments and our data collection fell down and we couldn't prove we had that 30 minutes. So we're working through with the District Health Board and Public Health that we've got other evidence that shows that that was safe, and hopefully those non-compliances will be removed in due course. And then it talks about the E. coli example again. And then further on page 7.3, significant capital project delivery. So the Parallel Road water supply upgrade. So we're currently commissioning the new treatment plant. There is an issue, it's got higher than anticipated sand and grit in the raw water, which has caused us some issues. And we're working with the contractors and our staff to work through that. We've successfully now sent water across to Taylor's Hill as part of the commissioning process. And it says here this water's not yet been put in service. We're hoping by the end of this week we'll have compliance certificate for the treatment plant, and then we'll be able to start using that water shortly. And then we'll work on a comms plan once we're using it to tell the success of that story. Cambridge Wastewater Treatment Plant. So we're currently, we took a report did a workshop with councillors on the 21st of September, based around the treatment options for the new Cambridge plant, which came out to a preferred option. All the options were fairly similar, and it was a technical workshop as opposed to anything else, so I won't go in too much detail, but there'll be a report to Council Service Delivery Committee just to confirm that preferred treatment option. Again, currently looking at costing for the treatment plant itself around 70 million in stage 1 and a further 25 million in 2035 for stage 2, plus another $10 million of costs that aren't directly related to the build. The budget for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade is 100 million in this LTP. So currently it's within budget for this LTP period. So as part of that project, we're starting to do some early enabling works on the site to enable once we get ready to build that we can build that quite quickly, because again, there's quite a time pressure to have that online by 2026. And then there's the stormwater hotspots. So if you remember, we talked about rain gardens quite a while ago. So the design of those is almost complete. And we'll be putting in rain gardens around the Whitechurch roundabout to protect the runoff from the road there that goes down to the lake. So it's the first stage of trying to look after the lake better. And so again, we're looking at coming up with a very good comms plan when we come to do those rain gardens in the next coming few months. So there'll be storyboards and how rain gardens work and why we're doing it, and try and sell that story. And that's my dog barking in the background. And that's basically all I want to mention, and happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I've got a couple.
Yep.
Thanks, Martin. Hey, I've got a couple of detail ones and then one general one. So I'll just start with the two detail ones.
Right.
Flood mapping, the 1 in 100 year floods, the new subdivisions, do they always comply with the 100 year flood scenario or not?
So the design criteria for new subdivisions is a 1 in 10 year event to be contained in pipes or swales, and 1 in 50 years to be contained in the swales or the pipes, but not a 1 in 100 year. But they should all be built above. It's all about building the houses above that floodplain, so they should all be built above that floodplain. Okay. And most aren't now. It's the older ones that are causing us issues. Yeah.
Cool, that's what I was about to think. So they shouldn't really have an insurance problem on a 1 in 100 year. They should be all right.
No.
Cool. Hey, and second detailed question, something struck me in your report, 9.1, you're talking about the temporary operation of the wastewater plant. And you said there've been some aeration pond liner repairs, some subsequent drop-down tests, which would hopefully show success, which would lead to savings, which could be applied to the consent. Are you talking financial savings or something else there? It just struck me odd. Are we being fined continuously or something?
No. So the pond that there was a leak in the pond, which we needed to repair, and we'd budgeted $200,000 or $2 million to do that repair. We've managed to drop the pond down and repair the liner in situ. And we've still got to confirm that with a final test that it's not leaking anymore. But if that's successful, that will save that. I think that cost us around $200,000 to fix. So the savings, $1.8 million, will be put into the Cambridge Wastewater Treatment Plant upgrade budget.
Oh, thank you. Yep. Completely clear now. I just didn't understand that. And finally, Madam Chair, this maybe should wait until after any other specific questions, but I wonder if you'd indulge us and let us just have a bit of an update on where the Three Waters is at from an expert, because I suspect that it's still not very well known in the community. And if we can just spend a couple of minutes talking about what that might look like, I think it could be a benefit to our community, to, you know, that we can talk to people, because the number of people I talk to about it, and they seem to know nothing.
That's probably a very good idea. How do others feel about that?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yes.
I just had a couple of questions about the report before we get into a very good corridor around Three Waters, if that's okay, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I just wanted to understand the Cambridge, and this actually relates a little bit to Three Waters anyway, but the business plan for the Hamilton Waikato Water Group.
Yep.
Is that was in works before the Three Waters reform was proposed? Is that separate to Three Waters?
Yep, that's separate to
new group, that new water group.
Yeah, so the detailed business case is was started before water reform's been on for a long time, 4 or 5 years. So it was, but it's only gained more traction recently. The detailed business case was part of Future Proof and looking at working more closely in the corridor between TMU2, Cambridge and Auckland, including all the places in between, of how do we best treat wastewater and water. Is it individually, or is there some benefits in working together? So that business case looked at, should we build, instead of building a plant at Cambridge, should we build a big plant at the airport and service the airport, Cambridge and parts of Hamilton in one big plant, which was what we thought would be the preferred outcome. But the preferred outcome in the detailed business case was that we would build a standalone Cambridge plant and a smaller plant at the airport. The numbers didn't stack up for 50, 60 years.
Okay, that's interesting. And on that replacement plant, obviously there's a lot of work going into the business case for that. Am I right in understanding that if the Three Waters reform takes place, is that still Waipā District Council's job to replace that plant, or does that become central government, that new group's job?
If it proceeds as planned and it's planned for 2024, we'll be in the construction period, and so the finishing of it will pass over to a new entity if that happens. But we'll start the process.
Started anyway.
Yeah, we have to get started anyway, because we've got to have a consent. We've got to have it built by 2026. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions?
I was just wondering, Martin, whether you're able to give us any more detail about the rainwater gardens at the moment and what the placement of those might be like.
I could, it's difficult without referring to drawings which I haven't got, but mainly they're around the roundabout. So on the approaches to the roundabout at the church. Mm-hmm. So there'll be 4 rain gardens sort of on those intersections of the roundabout. And then there's a couple more down the next roundabout on Queen Street roundabout. There's some more there, and on Lake Road. So I think there's about 8 rain gardens altogether.
Great.
But they're all, so they've been selected because where that runoff stormwater is collected does go into the lake. And so the rain gardens will try and remove all those gross solids from the road and prevent them getting into the lake.
Great. Thank you.
Any further questions?
Yes, Sue, just before we get into discussion on the Three Waters, the Cambridge councillors at this stage have almost organised a public meeting on Monday, the 18th of October at 7:30 at the Bridges Church. But that's not confirmed, but it looks likely that that's what will happen. And we have sent invites to all the MPs, local MPs, to be there. And that is primarily to get people informed about the Three Waters. As I think it was Mike that said, when he's talking to people, they don't know very much about it. And that's because we haven't had a lot of information from the ministry in Wellington. But that is the potential time for that meeting. we're restricted by COVID at this stage, but there's chance to have an overflow with a video presentation going into the primary school, Cambridge Primary School hall, which would allow for a bigger number of people to attend.
Good idea. Yeah. Yeah, sounds a really good idea. I think people will be aware of what that plan is. Okay. Any further questions? No. So I think we need to move the Water Services Quarterly Report.
Madam Chair, did you want Martin to do an overview of the three waters as it is at the moment before we move that motion?
That's actually probably a good idea for those who, yeah. Okay, sorry. Yes, please, Martin, could you do that?
I could, and first off, I have to say that the councillors and have still got lots of questions to be asked, and have recently, there's just been an 8-week window from the DIA to all the councils to provide feedback, which is what our councillors were working on for the last 8 weeks, and that was the councillors' feedback on water reform was sent to the DIA on the 30th of September, which was the last day for the feedback. So that's the current status, and our councillors have still got a lot of questions to be asked and answered. So I don't want to speak over them or for them. It'll be my view, I suppose, and Graham can kick me under the table, or Elwyn from where they are, if needed. So currently the Three Waters reform stage, as I say, is that just finished that 8 weeks feedback. Government have indicated they'll spend October considering that feedback, and Cabinet will then make a decision on the next stages from there, and whether that's come back for more discussions or they mandate the process is unknown at this stage. So I suppose from my perspective, I read an awful lot on Facebook and in the media around what is water reform, and a lot of people completely off track. And so it'd be good to go to that meeting on the 18th as a ratepayer, and hopefully answer questions or correct some stories around it. So one of the biggest ones is that our assets are being taken from us and we're not being paid for them. The assets are owned currently by the community, and they will stay owned by the community post water reform. So they will stay in local government ownership. It's just the management of them that changes significantly. So that's one misconception. The next one is that 50% of the assets are being given to Maori. And again, that's not true, because because our assets are staying with the community. What's happening is that right at the top level of the governance of the new entities, there'll be a 50% governance share between local councils and local iwi would have a 50% governance role in water reform. So those are probably two of the highest, ones people get upset about and challenge. Why are we giving away our assets? And I say, all the information is on the DIA website. Just type in DIA or water reform and you'll find them. There's lots of reports, all the meetings, everything's on there. And one of the key things to read is the case for change. So it's one of the documents there, which depending on your view, makes a compelling case for the reasons why change is needed. And one of the key things in there is all the information that all councils supplied to the DIA, which went off to WICS, which was the Water Commission for Scotland, who were the government's consultants, I suppose. They compiled all the information on all of our assets and all of our costs and come up with why it's a good idea to go with water reform. And one of the key things is a dashboard which you can go and look at and bring up the Wipeout dashboard, where it's financial on whole, but it says, currently, if you combine our water, wastewater and stormwater charges, we're around $1,290 a year. If water reform went ahead, or if it didn't, in 2051, so they take a 30-year look. In 2051, our charges would be over $4,000 if we didn't go with water reform, and if we stayed with water reform, they would be closer to $12.90 that they are now in today's dollars. Not so there will still be lots of inflation and all that on there. So that's one of the compelling cases for change. And then the next one is, there's $180 billion worth of investment needed. And by doing that on a larger scale, you can save quite a substantial amount of money by doing that on a larger scale. And that's one of the key savings. Now, whether you believe the numbers or not, or skeptical about them, those are the numbers that have been produced by government and are there for all to see. So the questions the councillors have are around local governance, local say, how do we ensure that we still get a voice? And so they're all genuine concerns. Once this new entity is involved and someone's got an issue with their water supply, they can pick up the phone, phone up a councillor and say, hey, what's going on here? And get that solved. They'll lose that local influence when there's just one big entity that covers, which I don't know if you've seen Entity B, which goes from the Bombay Hills all the way down to New Plymouth, across to Wanganui, then up to Apotiki, includes Thames Coromandel and all of Waikato. So there's 22 councils in that Entity B, which is where if water reform happened, we would sit in Entity B. So it's quite a large centralised view rather than the 22 councils are currently doing it. So water reform is all around. You can make more savings by being larger. Yeah.
Any further questions?
I just express my deep scepticism that big is better, having been in Fonterra for a long time. And we were promised this as little dairy cooperatives aggregated up to Fonterra, that you'd make savings and savings and savings. They're pretty hard to identify. And the idea that we'd be paying $1,290 a year under that kind of entity, as opposed to $4,000 a year for water if we stay by ourselves, I would be deeply skeptical of the financials behind that. But I look forward to being proven wrong. I might go to the DIA website and start reading.
Yep, and those reports have been peer reviewed by others as well, and obviously there's reports that are contrary to those. But those are the reports that the government are making their decisions on. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, through you,
Yes.
Madam Chair. Thank you, Martin, for that summary. The asset grab thing is obviously, like you said, the main thing you're hearing in media at the moment. And I just want to understand a little bit more how just shifting the management of something, say, would save money when individual councils still own the entity. Is that right? So that each individual council would still own their wastewater plant and their water plants, but just shift that management elsewhere. Is that right?
Yeah. So the ownership is a figurative of speech ownership rather than I own that, I can do what I want with it. It's a figurative speech ownership to ensure that local government still owns it and it can't be privatised. Right. So it's a figure of speech ownership, right at high governance level, and apart from that, have very little say going forward in so you don't own that treatment plant anymore. You own a share of 22 councils' treatment plants. Yeah. Okay.
So even though it's not like the government, you are changing the ownership structure. So while the government's not saying we own that now, they are changing how their ownership structure of the infrastructure works.
Yes, but the bottom line is they're saying currently us as ratepayers own it.
Yeah.
And going forward, the community and the ratepayers will still own it.
In this slightly different model.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you say there's billions of dollars of infrastructure that needs to be done, is that across all councils' water systems at the moment?
Yep. So there's an estimate of over the next 30 years that there's $180 billion worth of work needed to bring everybody up to scratch and to maintain that over that period of time.
What happens when there's councils? I mean, when let's look at these water reports, it seems like Waipa's doing an excellent job. with our water systems, and they've invested in them and they've maintained them well. Surely are there some councils who have more to gain from this than other councils who've actually managed their systems well?
Yep. So Waipa have done a very, very good job of looking after their assets and maintaining them on the whole. And there's lots of councils that haven't done as well. And so it's only going to get more expensive to look after them and maintain them. So that I suppose the government view is that, yep, Waipa, you may have done a great job currently, but in 30 years' time, you're going to have to do all that again. And it's only going to get more and more expensive. So therefore, in their view, by being bigger and better, they can manage that much more efficiently. And so, one of the things is in the 67 councils, there's 67 water managers. There wouldn't be 67 water managers when you've only got 4 entities. So there'll be more people employed. So no one's going to lose their job because of it. And we need more people. We can't get enough people. So there'll be more people employed, but they'll be employed in different areas, I guess.
And I guess, what does this mean for the ratepayer? Because the ratepayer is fundamentally the difference that they will be spending less on water, theoretically, in 10, 20 years' time.
So that's the government's view. Yep. That over the next 30 years, the ratepayer will be paying less for their water with water reform than they would without it. Costs will go up, but they'll go up less under water reform.
And what does Waipa District Council have to lose by being part of that type of group? What is the risk for our council by going through with water reform?
Yeah, I don't know if Graham wants to help with that answer. Can I jump in there and follow on from that, Elise?
Yeah.
Because it strikes me that when you're in a growing district, the Three Waters infrastructure is so key to development. These new subdivisions we're seeing, all the stormwater, the wastewater, and the water reticulation has to be planned in advance. If you're handing all that over to some quarter of the country entity, you're handing over your entire control of your district growth. I mean, what's the point in district councils if you do this? What are you left with? A few regional roads. And you look at Waipa can't build an expressway out of Wellington. Don't buy this.
No, and that's probably where the councillors are at as well. How are we going to ensure that we still manage growth and growth is the infrastructure still put in for growth? Yep. All those things are what the councillors' questions are as well, I'm sure. Yep.
Can I just say something at this stage?
Yeah, Graham.
When we have a new subdivision, the development contributions and the laying of all the pipes and the infrastructure, roads, sewage, footpaths, curb and channels, they have to be put in by the person doing the subdivision. Then they get handed back as gifted assets to council. So that's designed to make sure that the current ratepayers don't make a contribution twice. So from that point of view, there's a lot of lies in the numbers that Mike talks about, a lot of lies. I'll just give you one example. We went to a big meeting at Rotorua 2 months ago, and the question was asked, how many people in New Zealand were affected by bad water? Out of the room came, from Department of Internal Affairs, 30,000. Claire St. Pierre, councillor from Porongia, and I sat there and said, 30,000? That's amazing. So Claire went home and searched the Department of Health, and there was actually 537 people in New Zealand affected with a tummy bug, which potentially was from crook water. But guess what? There was 537 people, but none of the people affected were affected by municipal supplies. They were from people who had rainwater tanks or water from a stream or whatever. So I'm just putting that up there and saying, hey, and you would have seen the ads on TV with green water coming into a guy's bath. And Local Government New Zealand asked the ministry to stop that. It was an affront to Local Government New Zealand. And it seems like a crazy, crazy system. And anybody that thinks, and Mike would know a bit about this, can project cost 30 years out, I'll have him for my accountant, because it is simply not possible. but I'll shut up there.
Thank you, Graham.
Yeah. Yeah. So the councillors, as you see, the councillors have still got lots of questions and lots of things to be satisfied with before they would ever agree with water reform. So there's it's in the government's hand. You know, we've passed the baton back to the government now for their next move, and that's where we are. And what their next move is, we don't know. I have seen those numbers, and again, the latest press release from government had the 40,000 people who are affected by water still in there, and I've got a different view to Graham on how accurate that is. So that's but that's the facts given by government, and you can believe them or not. And most of us don't believe them most of the time. But if I must confess, I am a supporter of water reform. So I've come from a slightly different viewpoint than the councillors. Gets me into trouble occasionally.
Well, thank you. You've done very well this evening.
Thank you, Martin.
I might get told off when someone watches it back. No, it's been recorded.
Thank you.
Well, so the best thing I can say is if you've got questions, go to the DIA website, read the information, and then ask the questions based on what you've read and been from a knowledgeable perspective rather than from a scaremongering perspective. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's excellent. Do we need to move that we accept Martin's report?
Yes, we do.
I'll move
Yes.
that.
Elwyn and Mike, all those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Martin.
Martin.
Cool. Enjoy the rest of the meeting. I don't need to stay for the. Have you got talking of the trade waste bylaw? Do you want me to stay for that?
Only if you want to. Are you passionate about it?
Well, it's my bylaw.
It's your bylaw.
Yeah, no, I am passionate about it, so I'm happy to stay while you.
Alana's really interested in the trade waste bylaw, isn't she? Aren't you, Alana?
Well, fortunately, that's the next thing on the agenda. So that's inwards correspondence.
Yep. I'm happy to, if there's any questions on that, I'll hang around for that before I leave.
Okay. Did you want to speak to that at all? Yes.
Sue, can I move the recommendation to receive the correspondence on the wastewater and trade waste bylaw?
You may. Do we have a seconder?
Yeah.
Alana, all those in favour? Carried. Thank you.
No, I didn't have any further questions on that. I'm happy with the things that you're putting in place, and yeah, hopefully that'll work out. So thank you.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, nobody else had any questions on that? No. Okay. Now we move to the Treasury report, which says how much money we've got, the allocation of discretionary grants.
So, Madam Chair, at the moment we're showing as having 59. Oh, sorry, no, wrong number. No, right number. $59,697.25 in uncommitted funds.
Yes.
We have last month I said we could return the $700 from the Anzac Day to the uncommitted funds. I thought at the time that we had it in our resolution that it could just happen automatically. It doesn't, so we do actually have to move a resolution to move a recommendation to return that $700 to uncommitted funds.
Okay, so would somebody like to move that?
I'll move that, Sue.
I'm happy to move that.
We've got two people. Okay, if you can figure out who did what. All those in favour?
Joe and then Jim.
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions on the Treasury report before we receive that report?
No, it doesn't seem to be.
Cool. So we'll just need somebody to move to receive the report.
Looks good.
Yeah. So who's going to move? We received the report. I'll move.
I'll second.
Thank you, Joe. All those in favour?
Aye.
Great. So that brings us to the discretionary fund allocations. The really exciting bit. So I thought what I'm going to do is to get this thing underway. Hold on, let me get my right bit of paper. I'm going to suggest for each application a sum, and we can have a wee discussion if necessary, and work our way through the list that way. Is everybody okay with that?
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll start with act of kindness. I'm suggesting $200. Anybody?
I'm involved with that charity, Sue, so I won't comment on that one.
Okay, that's fair enough. Anybody? How's everybody else feel? Okay with that?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, depending where we come out with how much we're spending on other things, I was potentially happy to give them the full 500, but I guess it depends, yeah, where the money falls.
I'm with Alana on that. I was inclined to give them more as well. So I guess just see how
So
much
we'll put a wee question mark there so we can come back. Okay.
Yeah.
The Cambridge Bowling Club. I'm going to suggest $1,000. So what else? Does anybody have an issue with that?
No, I wouldn't. I'm happy with that.
Seems reasonable. I guess the COVID directive kind of always sits in the back of my mind around these ones, but if we've got sufficient funds to support an important community infrastructure, then I would be okay with that.
Committee of Social Services, $500. How do people feel about that?
That's connected with the community house.
Yeah, that's that one.
Yeah.
Are they funded by the community house or funded separately?
Because we have separate applications from them and community house.
Yeah.
But they've got their own funding, the Committee of Social Services, right?
Yeah.
That's the one you sit on, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their funding is separate to the Cambridge Community House. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes.
I would be inclined to give them more personally. I think it sits really well with the COVID directive, and they're doing. For me, I've got $1,000, up to $2,000. So just depending on when we fall, I'd be keen to plug a fair bit of money to people doing this kind of stuff in the community.
Yeah, that was my feeling. Yeah.
They have not bad funds, don't they?
I think you're confusing that with the community house.
Yeah, they weren't particularly well resourced. You know, I think
social services,
with the support. Yeah.
Social services are the people who do the big Christmas
Hamper drive and things.
Yeah, you know, which is very well run. So what do we want to say then? Can we have
I'm happy with $1,000 if someone, was that Elise or Joe?
Yeah, I was 1 to 2.
Elise, I'm happy with $1,000 if it's
how's everybody else with that?
Yeah.
Well, we do have a long way to go. I'm just thinking about sitting at the 500, then coming back and reviewing it, depending on where the total sits for the balance of the rest. Really, it's early days, isn't it? Going through this.
Yeah.
But if we're giving 1,000 to bowls, I think we need to be bowls, which is not so much a COVID directive. I understand it's an expensive piece of infrastructure, but I think this sits really well with the COVID directive. So I would be pushing hard for more.
So I just wonder if it's worth clarifying how much you're looking to allocate in this round. Do you?
I think we were looking at maybe doing 25 for this round. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, I think it was about that sort of figure.
Give or take.
Yeah. And that leaves us some more, hopefully for later in the year if something comes up. And it could well be something, things coming up later in the year.
Yeah, because we do have another funding round this time.
Yeah, and come, just with what's happening in the community at the moment, COVID things.
So your figures will come out are sort of based around that 25. So is that correct? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cambridge Community House. How they were asking. I'm trying to think how much.
8,000.
8,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
They are one of the ones that has a serious bank balance and
They do.
a very
have-
serious bank balance. And when we're looking for this to go around the community, yeah, I'm not happy. Well, I don't think that they warrant anything at this stage with the amount of money they've got.
They've got near enough to 100 grand sitting in their back pocket, haven't they?
Yeah.
It could be worth waiting to see how the rest of the year plays out in regards to lockdowns and things like that, whether their need in the community will increase, and perhaps we consider them a bit, further at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we thought too, Joe.
Yeah.
That's what we thought as well. And that second round might be them to come back. Yeah.
Yeah, just see what.
I'm in agreement with Joe there. I mean, right now they have a good back pocket, so to speak. But let's, 6 months' time, let's review it.
Yeah. Happy with that.
Well, we can do that then. Yeah. Okay.
I'm happy.
Yeah, righto. So we'll put them down for 1,000 at this. We'll just leave theirs at this stage, but 1,000 for the social services. Dirt jumps. I'm going to suggest $1,000. How do we feel about that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't fit with the COVID directive, but as an important piece of the community.
Yeah, and this is something
a
new project that's Jude is behind. And
I've never seen so many passionate people as those people. They are.
Yeah,
absolutely.
they're working really hard for it.
Yeah,
so I would be inclined to give them.
So the application was for funds to scope different potential spaces.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And this quote apparently is in excess of another quote that they've recently had, which was a lot cheaper than this apparently as well, that Sally gave them. So our contribution might go a little bit further than what it looks like it would.
And it's a good community project.
Yeah.
Will they have much choice in the spaces that they can look at in terms of what council will allow? Will it be necessary to scope different spaces?
I think it will be, probably. Yeah.
I think the issue, Alana, was that council didn't have the resources to staff that process. So council, we can't put any people on this job for you. We can't spend time having a look around Cambridge to see what there is. So if they can fund that themselves, then yes, they'd still have to run that by council, but at least they can actually see what's available. Council couldn't take the time to do that for them, just in terms of their allocations of stuff. Does that make sense?
Figuring out the complexity of the site and the access. Yes, Brad, do you want to say something?
I was just going to support what Lee said there. So, unfortunately, we don't have, because it was an LTP project, we don't have the capacity to deliver staff time towards that. So, I mean, off the top of our head, we've got some sites that we think potentially could work, but we don't have the time to investigate them or engage with the group, even though they are very passionate.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the next one is the Cambridge Motorcycle Club. This is towards their resource consent because they're moving sites. I'm suggesting 2,000.
Wow.
Yeah, Madam Chair, they're going to a brand new site at Te Miro, and they will require some funding for a resource consent, and this is probably the best way of helping them out with that with their cost, I think.
Yeah.
Will that cover their resource consent, $2,000?
I don't think
They're
so.
asking for 10. They're asking for 10,000.
Yeah, I don't think so. No.
But it's a contribution.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a really generous contribution. I really want to support it. I think it's great. I'm just aware of our COVID directive and whether or not we could come back to that and maybe reduce that if necessary.
I'm wholeheartedly supporting them moving because I did night shift Saturday night and got home and guess who started their motorbike? So I'm all for
yeah. But yeah,
traditionally sports-based things are easier to fund through other avenues as well.
Yeah, they are. And that's what you have to remember.
Yeah, I would be inclined to reduce that figure to.
So are you, or if others, I'm happy with, what do you think, 1,500 or 1,000 or something?
As am I.
So if we say 1,500 at this point for them, we can come back.
We can come back to it, yeah.
The Cambridge Toy Library, I'm suggesting 500.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yep.
Mm.
Yep, happy with that, Sue.
Yeah.
They do a great job.
Yeah.
The Cambridge Tree Trust, they're after
I thought
money.
about 3,000 for them. I think
Yeah,
they do a phenomenal job, and they're looking for, you know, just an extension of their car park there. So
Yeah, they've taken over some extra land, council land,
yeah,
next to the depot, and you know, when you consider there's probably at least 10 cars, 15 cars plus trailers and Lord knows what else there on their work days.
Yeah,
they need.
I think they make a significant contribution to our community.
Absolutely.
One
They
that not
do.
many people see either, and I think it would be this. You know, I know we've got the COVID directive in the back of our minds, but as a group that
they're doing a great.
Putting in the hard mahi around the place, I think it's great if we can support them in expanding their operation.
Well, and that work in that kind of area does flow through to the well-being of people in Cambridge as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. Right.
Sorry, can I just ask, what are we doing for the tree trust?
That's what we're talking about, Jim.
Yeah, I know, but what was the final figure? It
was 3,000.
3, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Child Play Works, I'm suggesting 500.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yep.
Are they Cambridge based? I just wasn't so sure if they were Cambridge based or a broader.
We think they're Hamilton based, but they do come into the Te Muru and the Cambridge area, Elise.
And work out of Bridges, don't they? They come and do some therapy sessions out of Bridges.
Yeah.
Did you say 500?
Yeah.
How much did you say? 500? Okay. Yeah. Happy with that.
Children First, I was disinclined, but I know others have other views, so I'm happy to hear other views.
Well,
yeah,
that's a hard one.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find my bits of paper. They were one of
I'm
the
trying to find Children's First.
Yeah,
charitable trust, eh?
Yeah, where I was just looking at where they were based. Where are they based?
They work in Waikato primary schools and Cambridge, facilitating resilience programs.
Yeah.
And they are based in Cambridge, but we do not have premises as our work is carried out in local schools. And our trustees meet at the private residence of our chairperson.
I had thought 500.
So how do other people feel about that? 500?
Yeah, I'm happy with 500.
Yeah, as am I.
Okay. The Citizens Advice Bureau, who do a sterling job, I'm suggesting $1,000.
I'm with that, Sue. They do a fabulous job.
I'm with that. I work for the Citizens Advice Bureau on I think a minutely basis, doing their JP work. And as I'm not allowed to go and sit there, I do up to 27 different lots a day. So yes, by all means.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is for the operating costs, wasn't it?
Yeah. They're in a council building, I believe, but they actually have to pay rent for it, and they pay for phones and things like that as well.
Insurance.
Did you say 1,000? Did you guys say $1,000? You thought?
Yes.
Do we feel like, I'm just thinking, most people were coming in at sort of less than 50% of what they've asked, and 1,000 is more like 80% of what the Citizens Advice Bureau have asked. I just wonder if, as a percentage of what we're giving, if that's maybe a little bit high. Even though I understand they do important work, I'd be inclined to say 600 and maybe give a little bit more back to AOK.
At least if you knew what they did and what the staff have to go through, they have to do training every week, those staff.
Jim, can you run through a little bit about some of the services they do provide? Because I know about the JP stuff, but what else?
Oh, they do everything from employment law to organising counselling for couples, to divorces, to putting people in contact with community house, to organising people's transport to Hamilton because Granny's car's broken down, to dealing with mechanics to organise. They do everything.
Okay.
You would be surprised. I have to work there 2 hours a week, and it just about drives me insane. Some thick things some people ring up about that they
I'm
just have
not
to deal
saying
with.
they're not awesome.
Yeah,
I'm just
they
saying
just-
in relation to how we're giving, whether or not
they do
consistent, perhaps.
they do a phenomenal job, and for many people they are the first port of call.
People ring them for everything, right down to which day should my rubbish go out. You know, they are, and like the receptionists at the council who get paid, but these guys don't, guys and girls. They do a huge job that is not recognised, and it's a whole voluntary organisation.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was into $1,000 on this one. I reckon it's one of the very few charities in here that's open to every single member of our community. It's really widely accessed. So
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so we're saying 1,000 for them.
Yep.
The community development team, $1,000. Trying to find my bit about them. Hold on. Can somebody enlighten me? I'm just missing the page that says what they do. Community.
So the community
schools,
development
the Raleigh Street
team,
one, is that the one? The Raleigh
so
Street.
that's the Raleigh Street.
Yeah, they go into
Christian
the middle
Centre.
school.
That's
They go into the middle schools and do resilience programs with
yeah,
the
and
middle
they work.
schoolers and high schoolers, and they were asking for their middle school program, I think, money for their middle school.
Yeah, they do
program.
a very good job. I have had contact with them before, just remembering that, and they do. They do a lot of the out of class activities that happen during the day. That's something they do. They're there right at the beginning of the year when the new kids arrive. They're sort of helping to support those kids as they come into the high school and things like that. And I presume they'll be doing the same at the middle school too. So they do a good job. So I've said 1,000. How do people feel about that?
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
I'm happy with
I'm
that.
happy with that.
Right.
I'm on board there. Yep.
Destination Cambridge, their food trail. I think they wanted us to help pay for the map.
I think that's ridiculous, because if you want to anything else, if you want to advertise, you have to pay for a slot in there. Sorry, and Destination Cambridge has heaps of money, so that I'm just anti that.
yeah, I had a bit of a problem with this one too. To me, this is a straight commercial.
Okay.
Yeah,
sponsorship.
if you want your business promoted and to be on a map, why should you get someone else to pay for it? The business should have to pay for it.
Yeah.
I'm happy to come with you guys on that.
Okay, that's fine. Destination Cambridge, second one, $2,000 towards the Christmas parade.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, just tell Linda to make sure that everybody knows that we've actually helped with it, because I'm not sure that we get the kudos every year about it. You know, we hear about everybody else. I'm thinking, you know, we give money too. So that's good.
So the other thing is that just come on board is that it looks like rather than have a reception for the Olympic contestants, they're going to be in the parade or part of the Christmas parade. So we can get two with, so it's a win-win there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. That'll really boost it. So no, so everyone's happy with $2,000 for the Christmas parade?
Yep.
Yes.
House of Science. They do
Beat diabetes.
Diabetes Waikato. Yeah.
Diabetes Waikato.
Oh, right. Oh, missed that one.
Someone else want to say it? Sorry, Sue.
Oh, that's right. Diabetes Waikato.
No.
No.
I thought they're a bit far removed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally far removed.
Criteria.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Righto.
I won't go on my rant.
Okay. House of Science. House of Science are a group that actually make up the kits that go into the schools so they can actually do science in those schools.
I'm pro this. It came presented to us the last round, the last
They
funding
did.
round.
They did.
They
And
did an
it
amazing
seemed
job.
like
So I'm suggesting
really
50
important
because that
work
buys one
they
kit,
were doing.
you know, and I just think that's a super way of getting
Yeah,
the sign.
1,500.
Yeah, 1,500. All
Yeah.
those.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interlock, because that was a bit
I'm
of a
happy with that.
difficult one.
I have a little bit of an issue with interlock.
Well,
No, well,
they
they're out of the system because they haven't supplied any bank statements. So there's a cross beside them. So we can't consider them under the current
Yeah.
criteria.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you.
So that's got that one. International Global Walk, well, I think that's already happened.
Yep.
How did that go, Joe?
Look, it is an event that I think now needs to be picked up probably by another organisation. With Florence, it just, unfortunately, in these times for elderly people, weather dependent, you know, COVID stuff, it just, I think age concern probably need to get involved. But I would be hesitant as a board to support it. Unfortunately, in the future, it just really wasn't. Yeah, which is a shame because it has great potential, but it just isn't quite there yet, I think, for us to be funding.
Okay. Thank you. Now, the Kairangi Hall, they were asking for quite a lot of money. I'm
They
suggesting
briefed us, Sue, on our trip out there about their plans. They rely on voluntary donations for that hall. They don't, not like other halls where they get so much allocated from each capital building or farm or house or whatever. So they're the only ones from the rural area that have come to us, and I'm a bit inclined to fund them fully, but people might not agree with that.
No, I think so. After all, out of all the halls we went to, and everyone was given the same message to say apply for funding on our trips around. I think this was the only hall I didn't get to because I got kicked out.
and I don't think they ever, so
I'm not
This
sure
is this includes a full roof replacement, and they only have about $3,000 in their kitty, so they're right up against it. But hey, carry on.
My view is that it was it's an excellent one, but
the
full amount's possibly a little bit too much for me. If we're allocating somewhere in the region of 25 grand, 10% of that going to the only rural applicant would be 2.5 grand, which I could live with as a maximum for me.
I could run with that, Mike.
Yeah, I'm with Mike. I'm fully support their application and that and supporting our rural communities, but I think agree full amount is a little bit on the high side. So 10% seems reasonable when you rationalise it that way as our main rural applicant.
So if we say 2.5 grand, that would all happy?
Yes.
Yep.
And next year, hopefully, we'll be able to go and have a nice cup of tea there and enjoy it.
But we had a lovely cuppa there earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to taste the scones and cream, you guys? Come on, beautiful.
They didn't. I don't think they made us some baking.
They had cake.
Cake. It was cake. It wasn't scones, but it was something. It was yum.
Yeah,
we'd eaten the scones before you got there, at least.
And there was cat. You better not have grand. And there was a cat, a really friendly cat.
A really cool cat.
The only other hall we got food at was at Elwyn's, so I'm in all favour.
We do also have an application from the Temiro Mountain Bike Club, which was one of the guys that was involved with the Temiro Hall.
Yeah, but it's not to do with the hall, at least.
No. But it's that community.
Yes,
Okay. Kids in Need. This is the local charity that's doing amazing work. I suggest 1,900.
This is Linda, isn't it?
This is Linda.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
mean, what she does is just amazing.
Can I just put out there, it's not the time to mention it, but just while we're talking about Linda, she does outstanding work, and I was out the other night, late at night, where she was also out late at night. Can I just put a community award next to her?
Yeah, she's on my list.
Good.
So we need somebody to go and, gather her family together, and, we need to sort a time where we can sneak they can sneak her to a meeting. Yes.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, just a reminder, we're on live stream here.
Okay, true. Thank you. We haven't heard that. Right.
That's why we shouldn't be on live stream.
Nobody should be on live stream.
No.
No.
So I had penciled in 1,000, but it depends where the money falls. We can happily go up on that.
Well, I put in 1,900.
Very generous.
Yeah, I
I was
just
with you,
think,
Alana. I was more down on the $1,000.
Yeah, it just depends how we're going on the budget. I mean, they do amazing work, and I'm very happy to support them.
so what are we going to put in? 1,000 or not, or 1,500 or?
Oh, look, they do outstanding work. I've seen it firsthand. And I've got one of our councillors or our deputy mayor is one of the parents that takes on children at any time of the day or night. I think.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that is true.
I mean, I'm not just doing it for Liz's benefit, but I think Linda does outstanding work.
Yeah, I mean, she's one of those ones who gets a tiny baby thrust into her arms in the middle of the night.
Exactly, and she has to find a home or take it on herself in the middle of the night, and have a school bag or necessary for a 5-year-old ready at 8 o'clock the next morning. You know,
and the fact that these children actually, if Linda's had anything to do with it, those children actually have a bag of their own clothes, whereas previously they would have just been given a rubbish bag that would have had stuff in. And I think, you know, those things are terribly important. So, so what are we going to say? 1,900?
Should we go in with 1,500 and then come back, and it can be one of the ones that we perhaps review?
Yeah.
Yep, good, Joe.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, just to give you a midway amount at the moment, you've committed $18,700.
Hold on, I'll send you my video.
Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, my video's off here.
They're not muted though, Joe.
Oh,
Okay, Loving Arms is a Te Ao Mutu group. So
leave them out.
well, yes, well, Te Ao Mutu apparently have done the same thing to anything that was Cambridge. So,
yeah.
Mangatatari, my view is the council already contributing to Mangatatari.
Well resourced. Yeah.
And they have a very, very good balance sheet at the moment.
Yeah.
Just as a little bit of an insight. Yeah.
Mangatatari, I'm sorry, multiple sclerosis, Waikato. No, I think this is really.
I think it's community focused enough.
It's not exactly. It's not community focused. And if you knew what they did from the medical world, they'd be closer to zilch than anything. I would be. Yeah.
Okay. Victim support, 500 is my suggestion.
Yep.
I queried if they were Cambridge or not victim support.
Yeah,
Correct me
there
if
are.
I'm wrong.
There is definitely victim support in Cambridge.
Oh, okay, there's not based in Cambridge.
So if somebody needs a support person after there's been a burglary or something like that, the police will be on to them to support that person, or you know, a fire, something like that.
And this is to support their volunteer support workers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone that any sudden death, anything, any family that's lost anybody.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. What was the number? Did you say 500 or 1,000?
500.
500. Okay, yeah.
The Te Ao Mutu Bible Chapel is Te Ao Mutu.
Yeah. I was happy to skip past them.
Right. The Te Miro Bike Club. They're just on the top of the hill there.
1,000?
Yeah, I put 1,500. This is for their new shelter.
Yeah.
For there. And a lot of our local riders go up there.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
I'm happy with 1,500.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so am I. They do a really great job. They're putting Cambridge on the map to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not just operating costs. I think it's a good one. Yeah.
True Colour.
Sorry, if we just go back to that point about rural funding, that Mike
No
made
mountain bikers,
a
at
good
least
point.
in the country.
Pardon?
No rural mountain bikers, they're all townies.
They're all
Oh, okay, all right, sure, sure,
whatever.
sure. I think it's not a bad point, but I just wondered, do we balance it a little bit between Kairangi and Te Miro? I don't think their balance sheet was any
Yeah, no, it's
particularly
nothing
well
to
resourced.
go haul. No, anything like that.
No, but just in terms of our rural support.
Yeah.
But if everyone's happy where it sits, that's fine.
I would seriously dispute that it's a rural thing, the Te Miro Mountain.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay.
It's really a town.
I went up there today, Lise, and there's no bigger townie than me. So that just
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
True
No,
Colours.
I stand corrected.
True Colours is a group that works with young people and their families, particularly in, I think, they're picked up a bit by these schools and things. That they've been going for quite a long time in the town, and yeah. So I'm
They're
saying,
Hamilton based, aren't they? But do they come to Cambridge as well?
no, I understood they were Cambridge based. True Colours.
But excuse me, it says their postal address and street address is in Hamilton. Yeah.
And they've moved there, but they've certainly been very active in
Oh, okay.
Cambridge. That was all.
Okay.
So
You got COVID there, Elise.
yeah.
Just as
Sue,
well.
I just wondering whether
Hey, I'm
Corin
isolating.
knows these
Guys.
people. Yeah,
Pardon?
I'm just wondering whether Corin knows these people can add to the info.
Yeah.
She's on mute.
You're on mute. Yeah,
Who's on?
Corin's on
Can't hear
mute.
you, Corin.
Oh,
Can't
Brad's
hear you.
putting his hand up.
All right,
You're
finally done it. Hey,
And
team,
Brad knows something too.
can I just ask for 5 minutes if we could just continue on, because I have read these but not today, just to make sure that I get the right one, because there has been quite a few children specific applications, and then can we come back to it if that's all right?
I can give you input on this one. For the fact that my mother's the CEO of the organisation, so I do have a conflict, but so I won't obviously having to say that, but they are Hamilton based, but they service the Greater Waikato, and they do a lot over in Cambridge, as the chair said, but they do have their base in Hamilton.
Okay. So
What,
these,
what did we say dollar wise for True Colours?
I'm suggesting 1,000.
Depending on where we land, I was thinking more of,
Can we question mark that?
yeah.
Yeah.
that could be a good one to come back to.
500 perhaps.
Violence-free Waipa signs at the rugby club. I actually went and had a wee walk around the rugby club yesterday. There is one from the violence-free Waipa group on one of the club rooms there. I think this is part of the White Ribbon campaign. You know, basically, you know, you're having a good time, but don't go home and take it out on somebody.
Yeah, I'm not sure for me if it kind of fits with the, as much as I fully support the message that they're sending, if it feels like a community-based initiative. And
it is a community-based one. Every year they have, the White Ribbon people have come through Cambridge, and somebody has usually talked to the high school kids.
Yeah, I guess I mean just for the sign is, you know, what they're actually asking funding for is just for that signage. But
it's quite a prominent sign that they've got on a building at the moment. Yeah. And I'm wondering whether it was one they wanted to put around on the inside of the ground. You know, they've got all those signs, and yeah, okay. I'll just leave that one for a minute. Okay.
Anybody else have any thoughts on that one?
I'm kind of with you, Elise. It wasn't high on my list of things out of the ones that we haven't before.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Waikato Bay of Plenty Cancer Society.
So this is for the Waipa residents staying at the Lions Lodge.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I had penciled in 500.
I was pro this because it was serving Waipa residents specifically as well.
And then Then we've got hospice, of course, which is, you know, and I put 2,000 for hospice. So I don't know. How do people feel about?
I'm in agreement with hospice.
The Waikato plenty cancer, that's actually a fail. There is, I gather, there's no report in.
Okay, right.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. That makes that easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't understand that. What was that?
It's a fail. They haven't got a report.
They haven't got all the
They
stuff
haven't
that
met
council
the
require to make a
application criteria.
decision. So Kieran's put
Oh,
a
haven't
cross
they?
on them, so they can't be considered.
Okay. Right. Missed that.
The Waikato Rodeo. This is something that
Hospice? Did we do hospice?
Yes, hospice, 2,000.
If
Are we
we've
happy
got
with
the
that?
coin. if
It
we've got
depends how
enough.
we're doing budget wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hospice do a great job for people in the community.
They do. They're also quite well resourced.
Yes, but the
2,000 's fair.
nurses that work remotely, even though they come under hospice, I know they rely hugely on funds.
But they're asking for rent. This is for their lease.
For the option.
isn't it? Yeah, so I understand those parts are important, but what they're asking for is rent support. So I think bear in mind where the funds are going is important. So I put down 1,000. I'm happy to be argued against. I put down 1,000.
Do we have any other comments there on that one? 1,000, 2,000.
If it's rent, I would have a little bit of an issue.
That's what they're asking.
Yeah, that's what it's for.
Yeah, I've got
That's
a little
why
bit of an issue with that as well. Someone needs to tell them to ask for something direct rather
Better.
than
Yeah.
indirect.
Right. Well, we'll cross that one out.
Community be paying for that, but
Yeah.
I've got no problem with hospice, obviously. So
Yeah.
Tricky one.
Someone just have a chat with them and say, come back to us and ask us for, I don't know,
Yeah.
volunteer support
Maybe
or
we
training.
say,
Or,
yeah. Okay.
Just sorry, if I can just through you, Madam Chair, just give you an update on the True Colours. I don't have any information in regards to that organisation nor that application.
Okay.
Right.
Thanks, Corinne.
Thanks, Corinne.
Good. The Waikato Rodeo, a key. I've put nothing.
Nothing. It's not a Cambridge project.
No.
Can I ask Kieran if they were successful at getting any money out of the Te Amutu board?
Yes, they did get some money from the Te Amutu. They did get some money from the GRE Community Board.
Thank you.
I think it's fine not to do a supporter radio. They're so contentious these days.
Yeah,
They have so little community support. I don't think you could in good conscience use community funds on a radio.
No, I think you're right, mate. Yeah. Youth line. How do we feel about that one?
Thought it was the Auckland. I had issues with
Auckland Charitable
Auckland-based.
Trust.
Well, isn't that's just the nationwide organisation? But this they were targeting to support this area. That's how they've broken it down. I understood.
You knew how useless they were at their work.
How are we going? What are we up to in terms of our money that we've allocated so far? Kieran, are you?
So at the moment, you've allocated $21,700.
Oh yes,
Oh,
go us.
good. Great.
Awesome.
How much have we got to spend?
You
25.
said you wanted to spend 25,000, so you're still short by.
I say drop youth line. How does everyone think?
Because how they've worked it out is we're requesting $5,000 as a contribution to operating the youth line free 24/7 crisis helpline, and the way they're asking 5,000 is because they've said based on the proportion of young people living in the area, the Waipa district share of the 1.35 million operational costs is $13,000. So we're requesting $5,000 as a contribution to this cost. So they're looking like at a contribution cost. So it isn't super Waipa or Cambridge based. It still is a national initiative
Yeah.
by the look of it, which I'm saying is great and super important, but I think that's important to probably keep in the front of our minds as we dish it out.
Yeah.
I think perhaps something would be good for them. I mean, there's probably not anything else for the youth of Cambridge if they do need to make phone calls like that. So it would be their prime, you know,
how much
first point of call. Yep.
So maybe something.
Yep.
Okay. So what do we suggest?
I had penciled in 500.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah,
Okay.
I think there'll be some local
Good
kids who would
starting
use
point.
that service.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know how? Oh, don't start me. Change the subject. They are utterly useless.
Jim, you've got too much insight in all of these different.
Yeah, I know, and I've worked in the medical world, and I just know how useless the crisis.
Yeah.
There is no support. They don't do anything.
Well, unfortunately, it's a bigger conversation about the stretched mental health services of New Zealand, and they are just part of that very stretched set of services. So I don't think it's that through they're useless. It's a complicated industry and a very underfunded and under-resourced industry as a whole. But hey, that's a side note. Shall we go back to some of those question marked ones that we looked at?
Yep.
Had we decided to give them something? Youthline?
500.
500, yeah.
So the number I have been given is 500.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So to end up, you've gone through the first round of applications, and you have covered $22,200. That lives to reach your $25,000 mark. You've got $2,800 to spend.
Can we give AOK some more? We only gave them 200, so we could top them up to 500.
Yep.
Act of kindness.
Yes, act of kindness. And the Cambridge Committee of Social Services, could we top them up?
Yep. What do we have for them?
Yep.
1,000 for them.
Could we push it
take
to
that
2?
to 2? Yeah, I'm with you, Alana.
Yep.
1,000.
2,000.
Got 1,500 left to get it up to your.
Should we leave that 1,500 and add it to next round, because there could be more coming within the.
There was also a query. You also had queries come back to again on Cambridge Motorcycle Club, which you've offered them $1,500 at this stage.
Yeah.
And the Citizens Advice Bureau, you've given them $1,000.
Oh yeah, let's take that up.
And Kids in Need is sitting on 1,500. Was another one you wanted to look at. And then there were 3 or 4, like True Colours, Violence Free Waipa, Cancer Society, and Hospice Trust were also ones you wanted to come back and revisit.
Yeah, what was that first one you said we wanted to look at? The motocross, and then
so the Motorcycle Club, you've said you'd like to come back to it maybe. You've offered them 1,500 at this stage.
Yeah. And the next one?
The next one was Citizens Advice Bureau.
Oh yeah.
$1,000.
Should we give them some more, because everyone is really into them?
Yeah, I think so.
So Citizens Advice Bureau, make them up to the $1,200 that they're asking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next was Kids in Need Waikato Charitable Trust. The 1,500. They're asking for 3,000. At this stage, you're giving them 1,500.
Take it to 2,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
$800 to spend here. True Colours, they're asking for 1,500. You've said 1,000 at this stage.
What about giving the 800 to the motorcycle or motocross or BMX park or something, who were really asking for a bit more?
The dirt jumps or the motorcycle?
Yeah,
club?
the dirt jumps or the motorcycle. Does anyone have any?
I think the motorcycle thing possibly, because resource consents are hugely expensive. I don't know. How do the others feel about that?
I reckon
gold.
800 we should do one of the social services ones, given the COVID situation myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Fair enough.
But I don't know which pick.
Yeah, who do you pick? Just give them all an extra 100.
Not a bad idea at all.
Spread it across. We could do that.
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
give them all an extra 100, the social service ones.
Yeah.
It's
No,
probably a good idea.
He clearly
Mm.
identified to me the social services one that I need to add $100 to.
There's a
please.
lot.
So who have we given Committee of Social Services? Then there's the Child's
you
Play.
want-
Would you count
did
them
you-
as social services?
Sorry, did you want to go back to Act of Kindness, which you've actually allocated 500 out of the 500 that they requested?
So
you
that's
don't
all they
want to-
need. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
they-
fine.
So
Yeah.
the Cambridge Committee of Social Services, you've said 2,000. They're asking for 800. So you want to bump that up to 2,100?
Why don't
Yeah.
we do the whole 800 there?
We could.
Because that's emergency vouchers.
Yeah.
That's kind of a good one in the
Mhm.
COVID thing.
Yeah.
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 Just give it to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's
great.
very worthy, that one.
Okay, so according to me, did you want me, Madam Chair, to just go through each one individually again, just to make sure everybody's on the same page?
Probably a good
No.
idea. No?
No, terrible idea.
No, we'll be here all night. No,
Just, you know.
just add it up and tell us.
So yeah, you've rounded out to the 25,000.
Okay, good. That's good.
So then you've got a motion here or a recommendation to receive the report and then allocate the grants as per what we've just gone through.
I move that.
Second.
Do we have a seconder?
I second that.
Okay.
Lena?
All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next item on the list, we've worked well through this, is board members' reports from meetings attended on behalf of the Cambridge Community Board. Anybody got anything to report?
Autumn Festival, yeah, still in the planning and kind of fundraising stages, so all coming along really well. Just hoping that everything will be okay with the COVID levels and that side of things. So planning is as best as we can for somewhat unknown times.
Right, we look forward to it. No. It's always a good thing to have. So, the tree trusts have been working very hard at Waipuki Park. They've done quite a bit of planting there, and the rabbits have had a really good feed.
Oh, no.
That's always disheartening.
Yeah, so they but they get there, they will go out there and replant and have another, they'll keep at it. They do a great job, and they're doing quite a bit of planting in the swales around the new subdivisions as well. So
Did you
as
guys
well,
that quite significant land purchase joining up with Waipuki Park back towards the rowing? I was in there the other day. They were having an open day prior to sale. They had a quick look at it. It's pretty awesome, but a really significant purchase.
oh, right.
Yeah, we were pretty chuffed about that. Can I just brief everybody on that? We identified that as being a key link from the end of the current cycle walkway to Waipuki, and we've purchased that for 5.320 million. We have the ability to get a couple of titles off that and dispose of it. Also, it allows us an access to the eastern end of that block through Waipuki. So we've got some options there where, to be fair, ratepayers will end up paying very, very little, because we'll retrieve most of that capital cost through what we want to do. And of course, we've got the ability to fundraise for the rest of that cycleway through the Perry Foundation, Gary. Is that correct? We'll approach people. Yes. Or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure if queries are on board with that bit of it yet, but certainly we'll be looking at other opportunities.
Yeah, these avenues. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It with the walkway cycleway around the river by St. Peter's. It takes us right through to Hamilton at the end of the day. So it's very, very strategic. Yeah, we're thrilled to bits with that.
Super. Anything else?
Do you think the same, Mike? Did you see it? You could see the potential for what I was just talking about.
I thought it was pretty awesome. I did. I blinked at the price, but not because you pay too much. Just what land and Waipa's worth these days, and where'd you find the funds? Was it in your 10-year plan, or You
The
broke
work-
the for that one.
We got a new printer.
Yeah, okay. All right, is there anything else? We can close the meeting?
Actually, on the just the pop-up garden, I spoke
Oh,
with
yes.
Matt Johnston. I always get that wrong. Johnston, Brad, or Johnson? Johnston. We caught up at this site and we're discussing a potential third site for the pop-up garden. There is the main thing now is finding a guardian. So I guess also if there's actually, Brad, you might be able to answer this question for me too. A member of the community asked me if they can do sort of edible like pop-up gardens on their verge, like outside their house on the public verge.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that restricts them from doing that I'm aware of.
Right, because I
Obviously,
might
we
talk
don't
to
maintain
her.
it. But
Yeah, I might talk to her because she was quite keen to do something on her verge. And I thought, well, maybe she could be the guardian for that site, and we could utilise council.
There is a garden, a flower garden on somebody's verge.
Yeah,
at the Leamington Playground, and she did have to ask permission of council to be allowed to do it.
Yeah, so we could easily have that conversation with Matt, but I might see where she lives. And the third potential site that could be pretty epic would be possibly where by the Tree Trust, as they expand into the car park, and because that piece of that paddock will be converted into sort of park space, green space.
Well, it's not all like green space. I don't think it's all going to be car park. I think there will be other things they were planning to do, I think, not just car park. But they have up
that's right, yeah. Matt said there would be some space for.
Yeah. So we need to talk to the Tree Trust first, but they would probably have 30 volunteers there with cars on a work day. So it's a big car park they need.
Yeah.
But and
and it was just a conversation that maybe there was potential on Thornton Road once council takes that over and it stops being a paddock. So that could be pretty cool. But again,
well, that the Tree Trust, the Tree Trust have got a lease on part of that.
Yeah, we were talking about that, not the Tree Trust, not their section, the other area. But that was just a conversation.
Yeah.
Just in terms of Bohoro, we did have some leftover postcards from the Lukenwa project. So I've been talking to both Cambridge High and St. Peter's with the possibility of using those for a similar project with their classes and the Bohoro High School.
Lovely.
Just looking at, building and keeping up those links while we physically visit each other.
No, that would be good. Yes. Yeah. And St. Peter's for a while did have a link with Bohoro, but I'm not sure if they have lately.
Yeah, not for a little while, I don't think. I think it's mostly been Cambridge High that's been doing not an exchange as such, but a trip over there. They did say that they've been having some challenges with the affordability of doing an exchange program. So there's some food for thought there in the future once those kind of things are possible again.
Yeah. Be good. Anything else there? No? Well, I think we can conclude the meeting. Thank you, everybody, for your contribution.
Thank you.
I appreciate the fact that you've all looked at these people who've asked for some funding, and you've all come up with, I think we've come up with some grants that will be suitable for all these people. And it's great. So thank you. It's not easy.